talk a little bit. So I'm Abdelhakim Mouttaqui. You can all call me Abdel. It's easy for everybody. And I'm Salesforce architect at Capgemini. I think I do have 17 years experience on development and 10 years in Salesforce. I'm not a CTA yet, working on it with my mentor, Mohit. So I hope that he will make me CTA one day. All right, so I will let the floor to Mohit to introduce himself, and then Kit, and then we go through the sessions.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll keep it short. So hi, everyone. My name is Mohit Sharma. I'm the CTO for Salesforce at Capgemini Netherlands, and also a Salesforce certified technical architect. I passed CTA last year when I was working for Salesforce, and this year I joined Capgemini. Overall, around 16 years of work experience working for various consulting companies like IBM, Accenture, then Salesforce, and now at Capgemini.
And I'm Kit Jansen, working in CRM for 13 years now, Salesforce for 7, Capgemini for 3, Chief Sales Architect, Capgemini, and Deputy CTO for the Netherlands. And I started this group with Abdel in June, I believe. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. And that's our second meetup, so welcome everybody.
Okay, so let's make it quick. So this is the agenda. So basically, we first two parts, they will be fast, I think. The one in the middle, that maybe it will take 2 hours, maybe 3. It depends on Mohit. And the last one, it's a real or project problem with sharing. So let's go through that quick introduction. So what are the external users? Because you cannot start talking about sharing, external sharing, if you don't know already the external users. You all in this room, I think you know already what are they. So we have partners outside, people outside the organization, and any authenticated external user. Do you think I'm missing some persona here? Is that all? Am I missing any persona here in this external users?
Question of clarification.
Yeah.
When you talk about external users, even external users that log into the Salesforce interface and use Salesforce as if they had.
No, external users does not have access to Salesforce interface. They can only go through Experience Cloud.
Sorry, I'm coming from
yeah.
Just starting out of my architect journey, as if that question didn't make it obvious.
Can employees be external users?
Well,
well,
technically everything can basically, right? So, but they are not allowed to, right? But technically, can, yes.
It's a license.
Yeah.
So, but if you were to use them, you have an employee hub where they do their vacation forms. So you approach them as part. Is it then still a license violation?
That's still
Everyone who's on the payroll
Yeah.
must be an internal user.
Yeah.
I think the only exception is that if you're logging internal cases. I think that might be an exception.
Yeah.
Mohit, can you just come here, please?
Is it working? Okay. Yeah. So there is a concept of employee community as well. So for example, you have employees in your organization and you want to do a workday kind of thing for HR portal, and you want to do that. There is a separate license. It's basically a starter license, which you have to really map it to your employees if they are not internal users, right? And you can give them access to, you can create a community called employee community and basically provide them access via that. Yeah.
Specific the licensing that for certain.
Yeah, there is an identity only license as well, but that has very limited access, a few features like chatter and all. But, look at a company, right? If there is an enterprise, not all employees of the company will use Salesforce, right? Maybe your sales team will use your service, but then there are other type of employees who are into manufacturing. They don't need to access Salesforce, but they need to access employee community, because employee community provides all the HR related information, irrespective of the fact that they are Salesforce internal users or not. So that is why that use case is there, and you can map those platform licenses to your employees and create an employee community. It's not as costly as a full Salesforce
It's a
license.
platform license.
Yeah, it's a platform license type called platform apps or platform starter. Salesforce keeps on changing the name,
But they
there
are
is
not external users.
they are not external users.
Okay, let's keep
basically.
it like that and then we move on because
They are
that's
not
the first
external.
slide, basically.
Yeah.
an instance of Slack, for example. So there's a lot of those use cases from a business perspective where Salesforce is looking to use the Slack integration in order to deal with those people who are within an organization but
doesn't have access to Salesforce. Yeah, so it's called Digital HQ and Slack. So basically digital headquarter, and using the flows or so, you can really ask your queries via Slack and it will send the data to Salesforce and then back, right? But if you want to build an employee community, there is still a use case, but that's not really treated as external because external users, there are some security concerns and it's employee only. So that's why it's not mixed and matched with these types of licenses.
It's my last question. Clearly, I don't have a full head around it. I did do a licensing article about community clouds, which is why it's kind of piqued my attention. So you can have this, there's an employee community that you can do, and it's not just about login cases, it's more than login cases.
Yeah, it's more than, so it's like, for example, you have a custom functionality, like employee needs to raise their expenses, right? So you can create an data model for that, like expense.
Do allow.
Yeah, Salesforce does allow that.
So if you do custom objects, Salesforce allows.
Yeah, exactly. That license, for internal users, And that's why there is a separate license, like the platform type of license mapped to those, not these types of licenses.
Cool. So still my question valid. So who's missing here? Which persona is missing here? We have partners, we have outside your organization, anybody, and then we have authenticate an external user.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's the last one. So we are missing a guest user. Cool. So before we can talk about like sharing, we always have to talk first about the OWD and understand how it works. So we all know that even though if it's, let's say that your records are public, if you don't have access to your object, you cannot see it at all. So that's why the baseline object permission profile and permission sets are important because it gives you access to your object and also to the field, right? And then what we will have is the first baseline, which is like the org-wide defaults, which define if it's private, read-write, public, right? Or if it's controlled by parents. And then after that, we can open it up a little bit vertically via the role hierarchy, which means that the manager can see like all the agent records. We can open it up a little bit laterally. So basically using sharing rules. Okay, so we can then use the sharing rules to open it horizontally, I would say. And then we have a flexible way to do that using manual sharing, epic sharing, and all of that. So you can control that sharing by yourself. And here it comes, the external wide sharing. It's in between before you start opening it up on the role hierarchy. No question here, I think.
I thought there was a fifth level.
Which is?
Or is that in a new release?
Yeah, they have added.
What?
They have added one more.
Is it the one in the layout?
In this release, they have added that. I need to check that.
Okay.
is the restriction rule in profile.
I think it's
Scoping rule or restriction? No, those should not be the case.
it's restriction rules on the object itself, basically. And then even though if they have access, then you restrict some records and stuff, but it's not part of the OWD, basically.
Yeah.
As far as we know.
For early October, so we're fine.
Yeah.
No.
So we don't talk about something which is not live yet. So
Yeah.
It's not GI.
it's not GI, then we don't talk about it. Okay, so consideration. So it cannot be more permissive than the internal one. So basically, if it's a private, then you cannot open it up on external. You cannot make it public. If it's public read only, you cannot make it an external public read write and so on. It affects all the cloud, Experience Cloud and Legacy Portal license, which means that if you put it private, you cannot put it public for another portal. If you have two different portals, one a customer and one partner, and you said, no, I would like to have, for example, accounts public for partners and private for customers, that's not possible. So you can only have it either public or private. So yes, external sharing can only apply on those objects. So you have to take them in consideration. Some special objects you cannot apply external sharing. So account assets, all of that, and also all custom objects, basically. Right? Internal license and their feature limitation. Okay, so start with the first one, guest. Okay, so anybody, anyone coming to your public website can access Salesforce without login. So that's a guest user. As soon as you create a community, so basically Salesforce create a profile and the user, guest profile and a user for every community you are creating, every Experience Cloud, they will say. So which means that you have a specific profile for it and to set up the permission and all of that. So what kind of permission we have? They have only read-only access to data. So if you give them access with guest sharing rules, basically, I think it's here, guest sharing rules, you can only give them public access, only read data, they cannot update. Okay, so however, there is always a mechanism to do that using system mode with Apex. So that's the only way that you can update.
Yeah, Flow is also in the system mode,
System
but
mode,
not recommended. So the best practice is that for guest users, never give them. So for guest users, typically, we should restrict the system mode, opening up the access with the system mode, because they are guest users, they are not recognized users, and there are always some security loopholes. So the best practice is that if you can avoid extending or the access via system mode, please do so.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, maximum access granted through this sharing is read. So they can only have read access and you can use guest sharing rules. So before we go to the others, so all the external user license that you will see after this slide, they have access to those objects, right? And they have the sharing mechanism, sharing set, and sharing group. So they all have those mechanisms. Of course, you can take a picture or we'll share the slide later on, but that should be fine. Customer community. Okay, so B2B experience with large data volume. I think it's used to called high volume customer.
High volume portal user.
Yes, B2C experience.
B2C.
You said B2B.
Sorry, it's my
At least that's what I heard.
B2C. Sorry, you're right. B2C experience. Sorry, my bad. B2C experience with large number of external user. The features that you can have, like one of them is that they can submit an approval and they can also be assigned as approver, but they cannot be assigned task or email alert via approval workflow. Okay, so you can always assign them tasks and stuff via Apex, I think, but not via approval workflow. And it applies to Customer Community Plus. So all of that, it applies to Customer Community Plus and Partner also as well. Permissions, edit account and case, view contract price book only. So you cannot have read writes, you can only have read. And you can create and edit assets. And of course, they can have access to Salesforce CRM if they have a license. If they have license assigned to them. Sharing, of course, record ownership, external OWD, and of course, sharing set and sharing group. No question. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's still the challenges are coming. I think we will have a lot of questions. So the plus is the same experience as the normal one, except that we will have reports, I will say, and we will have delegate administration, which apply also to the community partner. But we do also have role hierarchy, sharing rules, and account relationship data, super user, delegate. So we have more sharing mechanism than the other one. Sorry, can you? So.
Yeah, I think that the main thing to note is, if I may, that customer community users, they don't have roles basically in the Salesforce internal setup. and Customer Community Plus, they get roles. And when your users can be assigned to roles, it opens up lots of different sharing mechanisms, right? They can be added to public groups. You can have defined sharing rules and different other things, right? They can be added to for example, Customer Community Plus can be added to case teams. Customer community cannot be, right? Because for adding a user to a team, you need to have a role as well, because internally it creates a role or a kind of a similar sharing mechanism under the hood. So Customer Community Plus, they cannot have a role. And why they cannot have a role, you need to think about it, because they are into millions. If Salesforce starts assigning role to 1 million or like 10 million, 20 million users, it will be not easy from a platform point of view to scale that much. So that's the reason there is no role. Sorry? Not for Customer Community. Community Plus they have. Not the customer. What I'm talking about is Customer Community. They cannot get roles. So 3, a user, manager, and executive. Yeah. So apart from the features which Abdel was highlighting, I think the main thing which we need to understand is that the roles are missing. And that's why there are lots of limitation in terms of sharing. You'll solve many scenarios in few slides, so you'll come to know.
So partner community. So everything regarding the Customer Community Plus. So in terms of sharing, they have, but they also have access to account, case, and opportunity team. So the Customer Community Plus doesn't have this capability. And also they have access to the Sales Cloud, I will say, objects, campaign, leads, and opportunity, reporting, same thing. And they also have access to territory management.
I just say that on that specific one, if you go back, that I've seen it with a large account, that this is problematic at a business level. The setting the guidelines from the partner community, the actual running out of it is okay, but having either the partner community or agreeing on the business level that you're going to have somebody to resell on your behalf, or having them enter into that's as big a problem as it is actually running this through. So I've seen that with a large client in Italy, that actually organizing a partner community is a massive job for the company from a business side, let alone from an IT.
Yeah, so in terms of implementation, I also have seen like a lot of companies using like a different license for partner community, but let's be honest. So we need to like use the license when we have to, and if it's a partner, then we need to use the right license, because it opens up a lot of opportunity and a lot of possibility of sharing, and a lot of scenarios are coming in the future. In this next slide, so you will see why we really need to apply the right permission. Explain it better.
Sorry?
We're waiting for you.
No, I wanted to give you a chance. Okay. All right. So external apps, it's very similar to the B2C Customer Community license. The difference is that for external apps, it's mostly aligned to B2C commerce rather than B2C support. So in case of external apps, you cannot, the users cannot submit cases. They don't have access to cases, which is typically the main use case for Customer Community to get support from the company. But they do have access to 100 custom objects and all the rest of the features of the Customer Community license. Another thing which this license provides you is extra data storage, some few MBs, I think 5 MBs or 10 MBs per user license, and 200 API calls. That keeps on changing, but in the Customer Community, you don't get any additional data storage and extra API calls. Yes.
You also get access to custom objects with this.
Yes, external. Sorry? 100, a lot, because the Customer Community gives you access to only 10 custom objects. So this gives you 100. So basically it's aligned for the use cases where a company is running the commerce, the online sales, on a community portal, Experience Cloud site, and they have lots of users who don't really need support or need to raise or submit cases, but they need to, they can buy stuff and they can submit lots of orders. And then along with the orders, there's lots of other custom functionality in place to support invoicing and other types of process. So then you switch to this license because you have access to 100 objects. Also, you get additional storage. You might not know, but of course, you would have probably come across that scenario that in an enterprise scale application, Salesforce storage is the key, right? What storage that license gives you. And this license provides you that.
Is this cheaper to buy these licenses?
No, this is, oh, okay. From a license perspective, well, it depends upon your use case, but this license is more expensive than customer community license because it provides you additional storage and API calls.
The storage, if you purchase that separately, it's really expensive.
Yeah, it's really expensive. Yeah,
This is actually cheaper.
it will be cheaper.
I had this scenario,
Yeah.
exactly this scenario at a customer of mine, which we'll also cover at the end of the presentation. They also needed more storage space, quite a bit actually, both on the data side and the cloud storage. And they already had a customer community and 2 partner communities. What they decided was to upgrade the partner community licenses to external apps plus licenses, which is sort of concatenation of external apps with partner community. And that's combine the benefits of both. So you have the higher storage limits, higher file storage limits, higher API call limits, all of that combined with the full functionality of partner community.
Yeah, it's called economies of scale. Basically, that if you have like millions of these kind of users, you get also lots of additional storage, right? For example, 10 MB with one license or 5 MB, and if you have millions of users, you multiply by that. You get that free storage with that, rather than negotiating with Salesforce for additional storage. As you said, it's expensive, right? So yeah.
I always am interested why Salesforce comes up with a limit, for example, and why is it 100 custom objects that they can...
Yeah, well, I think 100. It's something which is, if you ask me, I'm not talking now on Salesforce behalf, but last year I could have. But now this is not an enforced strict limit, so you can always get it tweaked and go beyond 100 as well. But typically, that's something which is as part of the standard. And then your account executive can always tweak few things, and getting more limits of custom object is part of that. I believe so. Yeah,
I think I was like saying during the preparation of this that my slides will take 10 minutes max, right? And maybe I was wrong.
No, it's fine. These are
okay,
nice questions.
My slides will take 10 minutes. Okay, so that's the conclusion. So what is the difference? So can you all see this screen, guys? Okay. So roles, sharing, tasks. So you can see the difference, but this is the most important parts. So the user limits, you can have up to 10 million on the customer community and 2 million on everything else, right? And then, of course, that's what Mohit said. So you can have access to 100 custom objects. And in the external app plus, you can have 45 megabytes plus.
Is there a reason you didn't include the external identity license?
Yeah, well, we could have, but there are not many relevant use cases for that. It's there. You get it free also in most of the scenarios, but there are not many license use cases because it's just about identity, right? Like you can validate and have an authenticated user, but apart from that, it doesn't provide much functionality. So there are very less use cases. So we wanted to focus on more relevant.
Custom objects with external identity licenses.
Customer community with 10 custom objects with external identity license. Okay. And did you get that tweaked from Salesforce or how?
So you have 2 identity licenses.
Mm-hmm.
You have the new ones that you get for no access and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is actually identity for your internal users.
Yeah.
And you have the external identity community license, which is a license that gives you customer community without CRM.
Yeah.
And custom objects.
Yeah.
And identity.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the main thing is without CRM. So if it is on only custom stuff, then probably you can use that for sure.
Cheaper than the customer community license.
Yeah, obviously, because you don't have case and other stuff. Yeah.
I think that one used to be called external apps, because you had external apps and external apps plus, and they were a complete opposite side of the spectrum. So with external apps, then community plus, point community, external app plus, and both were renamed at some point.
Yeah, no, but I think the identity one was always there. It was like the counterpart of the internal identity only license, basically. But yeah, as you said, just custom functionality, no CRM functionality. So some
You can
they
tweak
could
it
be.
like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can use.
Ready to see change in the next year?
Well, quite a few actually. If you see in the past, quite a few things have changed. So, for example, Kid was referring to external apps plus, right? It used to be different SKU, but now they have combined everything into partner community. But while buying the license, you need to your account executive has to indicate which type of SKU you want, right? So those kind of things. So Salesforce keeps on changing the name. The limits have changed. I have interacted with the product team of Salesforce who came up with features like account role optimization roles. So now you can see the number of users which are offered by partner community. Earlier they used to be 2 million. Now they have increased it to 10 million, right? So they're changing the internal infrastructure so that you can support more roles based users. Earlier it was not the case, and still there are quite a few items on the roadmap. But of course, I have limited visibility now because I'm not an internal employee, but still, I think as part of the platform advisory boards or some discussion, they keep on sharing that. So yeah, lots
Cool.
of things.
So let's start the fun part now.
Okay. It's me then.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mic, and then let the floor to Mohit.
Well, thanks, Abdel. All right. So now let's solve some problems, guys. So what I've done is I have drafted or I've come up with like 8 different scenarios. They are not CTA review board scenarios, though I like to write those kind of scenarios as well. But these are called micro scenarios, not even mini scenarios. And every scenario has a solution which is related to a tool, which is an external sharing tool. Basically an external sharing tool, right? That's why the title of the slide is explore different external sharing tools. So can you guys, before that, right, before I jump into the problem statement, can you name the different external sharing mechanisms, right? You have seen the licenses, the different type of users. What are the different external sharing tools which are not probably available in internal sharing but are available for external sharing based on your experience? Sharing sets, okay. Sharing groups, okay, nice. What else?
If I answer, it will be cheating, right?
Yeah, it will be cheating.
Even more than I said. Well,
100% enthusiasm.
Anything else? Sharing set, sharing group.
Hierarchies.
Sorry.
Hierarchies.
Yeah, external role hierarchy. Yeah, good one. Anything else?
Apex.
Yeah.
Apex sharing, yeah. It works for certain licenses, not all, but yeah. Anything else? Yeah, it's the base sharing thing, but yeah, it's like the default, and then you use some tools to open up. Okay, cool. So I won't waste much time, but
they were there in I think in the community partner plus I think sharing like that. I think you did not.
They're in the slides.
they are on the slide, but
They're on the slide.
but I think we have scenarios now. They need to really think about it, so then they will remember. Okay, so what I've done is I've written a scenario for you guys. It's a problem statement. It could be a case study. So what I've done is I came up with a hypothetical use case. Typically, the scenarios are hypothetical, but also can be related to a real life scenario. So Universal Insurance is a global company that offers various types of insurance products or services to individual customers, basically, via its website. The customers get exclusive access to an online support portal after purchasing a policy online on the Universal Insurance website. They can also manage their profile, view their past activity like how many insurances they have purchased in the past, and they can raise any support tickets. Is that scenario clear? What universal insurance is doing? How many of you have used Independer? Most of the people, right? It's same, right? It's a company which offers you a platform. You come there, search for an insurance product, buy it, but they don't really sell it. The sellers are the companies, right? It could be the auto insurance. So it's a similar use case. Okay. Now let's look at the first scenario. So I will read that for you or summarize this. So what universal insurance does it, they collaborate with various regional insurance service providers because they are a global company. So in every region, they collaborate with local companies who are authorized to sell insurance in their region, right? The customers can buy all the insurance services from only one insurance company at a time during a calendar year. So this is important. So it's like health insurance in Netherlands. So if you buy the health insurance, and you cannot really switch during the mid of the year, right? You have to wait till the end of the year. So but in this case, due to regulatory concerns, let's say, because it's a scenario, what I'm saying is all the different insurance, be it auto insurance, be it dental, be it others, they can only buy it from one insurer. The insurance companies have two types of employees, agents and managers. All the agents should have access to all the service tickets raised by their customers. However, only the manager should be able to update the service ticket status and add comments. Now, what you need to do is, based upon this scenario, I hope it's not overwhelming, a very basic sharing scenario, guys. How can you solve this scenario? Like, I need the solution for this one. So I'll give you probably how much time? 1 minute. In CTA, you get 1 minute, but but I can give you. All right, take more than 1 minute and then think about the solution, and then we will discuss the solution. Any questions? Do let me know.
Are they in the right direction, or are they selling only?
They are selling the stuff. Yeah. They are resellers, yes. No.
It's not recommended also the customer bought an insurance from their company. They don't own it.
Sorry,
What's the definition of their customers?
where? Which line are you referring to?
Second from that
What is the
bottom.
definition of their customers?
All the agents should have access to service tickets.
Yes. So their customers means, for example, I am a customer and I bought it from a company called Silver Cross, right? Silver and Cruise, as we say here. So if there is an employee of Silver Cross, they can see my cases which I've submitted, basically, because I purchased the policy from them.
But Silver Cruise does not own the account record, right?
They cannot. External users cannot own any account.
Not account, but they can. There's an insurance contract. They can.
Yeah. Contract they can. Contract also will be owned by the customer because it's like an asset or a service contract for them. But how to open up the visibility to that also we will discuss. But first,
Contract is a shared model with account. The OWD for a contract is linked to the account.
no, the service contract. I mean, yeah. The contract is controlled by parent. Yeah. Any idea? Like it's some of the sharing two mechanisms which you have already seen.
To give you a hint, you don't need partner community for this. You could also do it with customer community. No, also customer community.
Not even customer.
Okay. How much time do we have?
Only been 2 minutes.
It's 2 minutes. Okay.
It's like community plus licenses, and we assign sharing rules based on their contacts records.
How many sharing rules will you create?
One that can be assigned to
No, but let's say there are 2 million customers. They are all submitting one case, let's say. So there are at least 2 million cases. And now you will have to share the access to those 2 million cases. How will you do that with sharing rules? There is a limit on the number of sharing rules which you can create per object.
What about sharing sets if we are using customer community first? Because we will have default role, okay, we will get that. And agents and managers. So managers can see all their data of agents. Okay. And using sharing sets based on, what is that? The users dot account dot, we can share that.
How?
Provide.
That is what will be the data model in this case?
I need time to think.
Okay, cool. So this is the solution, guys, right? So think about it. So every requirement, there is no best solution to a requirement. Every solution is based upon the requirement, right? So in the scenario, I've clearly mentioned that they can always deal with only one insurer at a time, which means you are going to have two types of accounts in your system. One, the business account for all the insurers who are selling the insurance policies. Another is the person account, the users who are interacting, who are using the community and submitting the cases or buying the policies. So what you need to do is you need to link the person account and the business account with the lookup relationship, right? So if I'm a customer, I will have a lookup to Silver Cross, right? Cross's account, which means when I will buy policy from them, right? And sorry. So, and then what we are going to do is basically create a sharing set, very simple, where the criteria is going to be case dot account. So here account is the customer account who has submitted the case, dot insurance provider. Insurance provider is the lookup to the business account, the equals to user dot account ID. That's it. And you can share that in a read-only way. Assuming that cases are private, account is private. Simple, very simple use case of using sharing set. Most basic use case. Not trying to show off, but it's a most basic one, right? And then for so this is for agent, because in the requirement it was mentioned that agents can see, but the managers can also update, which means you need to have two types of sharing set, basically one for the agent, one for the manager profile. And for the manager, the criteria is going to be same. The only thing is that at the sharing set level, you need to open up read write access to the case rather than read only.
If we are using plus license, then we will get the role hierarchy, right? External role hierarchy.
Yeah, with the plus.
That by default we will have.
With the external role hierarchy.
So like you will give you access to the chart, so the manager will have access to the chart, okay? But it does not stop you from the agent to not write. So they will have read write also.
Yeah.
So it does not solve that.
The role hierarchy, it will open up the access, but if the agent has read only, it will open up the same access, and then they cannot update. Basically, that's how it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on this one? Sharing set?
I have to read up on the sharing set because I didn't know that you could set the
Yeah, sharing set, I would say, is the most powerful tool in the external sharing. You can open up lots of sharing scenarios with the sharing set. And under the hood, Salesforce, there is a concept called access mapping. Salesforce uses that to define the sharing set. And that's why sharing set are so performant, right? That's why you cannot have roles for the customer community, because sharing set initially when sharing sets were introduced, they were just introduced for customer community use cases. Now they have extended to partner and customer community plus. But the idea is that how can you open up the sharing when the users, they don't have role? You cannot use role hierarchy or any other regular sharing mechanisms. So Salesforce came up with a concept called access mapping, which is kind of a cache data in a very big database, some internal mechanism, which opens up the access very fast. Okay, next scenario, sharing scenario 2. It's a similar scenario, same use case. Okay, just for your information, or I'll summarize. The only difference here is that now it's the valid insurance scenario like we have in Independer. You can go to Independer, you can buy insurance from any insurance provider, except the health insurance. You can switch your insurers anytime, right? You can change your car insurance provider anytime. So that's the scenario. So basically the same type of employees, agents and managers. And now what I'm expecting is a solution where the agent should be able to still access the cases raised by their customer. Manager should be able to update. But the point now is that one customer is not linked or related to or a buying policy from only one insurer. So you cannot have that lookup thing, just for your hint, right? Because there are multiple insurers from which the customer is purchasing the policies. And all those insurers, based upon the relationship. So for example, if I bought auto insurance from a company, let's say Alliance, right? And so they need to see the cases I've raised regarding that auto insurance. And if I bought health insurance from Silver and Cruise or Silver and Cruise, they should be able to see the cases I've raised related to that health insurance, right? So now the sharing model, the data model is different. So how you will open up the sharing? Now, based upon the last solution, can you think of a solution?
So what you're saying is that the difference is that now you could have 3 or 4 different types of insurance at the top end. And then technically one agent could be selling all different types of
No.
Different agents. The agents are linked to the insurer. So Silver Kruis has their own agents. Allianz has their own agents.
Yeah.
Any insurance provider on this platform has its own agents. And all those agents can only see the cases for their own insurance.
It's almost like there's a business unit and the agent only sees their specific business unit.
This is a platform company. We provide a platform
Yeah.
where insurance companies can interact with end customers.
Yeah.
And all those insurance companies use that same platform, but they only can see the cases that the customer logged for their insurance products, not their competitors' insurance products on the same platform. And you can buy from different insurance companies. So you can have your car insurance from Allianz and air insurance from Abdel, and maybe your liability insurance from Silver Kruis.
Any idea? Think about.
It's quite similar to the other one, but the data model is mostly different.
Yeah.
You have the insurance objects with the lookup to the.
Okay. So I'll give you a hint. So if the customers are going to buy the policy, let's say you buy the policy, the bought products by the customer, how they will be stored in Salesforce? Asset, yeah. So let's say there is an asset, right? So for every policy, there is an asset created because it's a sold, purchased product by the customer based upon let's say health insurance has one asset. Every customer owns that asset. So now if I have a problem and I need to get support for a particular health insurance, what I will do is I will go to the customer community portal and I will try to submit a case and I will select that particular asset, right? That I have problem with this policy. I have 5 different policies, but I'm raising this case regarding health insurance or auto insurance. So now if I have submitted a case, the case is already linked to the asset. Now, how will you open up the access to that case if this is the data model?
Partner community licensing.
Okay.
And then I share it with the shares groups, maybe share group.
Share group.
Also, we can set like case asset.account.
Mm-hmm.
It will be user.account equal to
But assets primary account is the customer account. It's not the insurer, right? Because the customer owns the asset, not the insurer. But can you do something there maybe to still work on this sharing set? You can create a new lookup on the asset, right? Every asset is purchased from a company. So that asset can be related to the person account of the customer, but can also be related to the insurer amount, because insurer is the seller, customer is the buyer, right? So that relationship can be maintained at asset level. And yes, then you can use sharing set. So this is the solution. Basically very similar, but here you cannot link both the accounts together because one customer works with different insurers. But what you can do is drive the solution via asset, where you say case.asset, where asset is your policy, and policy is linked to the insurance provider because that provider has sold that policy, and then you say user.account ID. So the agents or the managers who are related to the insurer account will get access to the cases linked to this asset by the customer. So this is the most real use case, right? So if you are going to solve a more, I would say a more complex case study or even a CTA review board scenario, this is the most basic problem in that scenario.
You're saying, Mohit, that the sharing set criteria and the filtering, that's the key.
Sorry?
That's what you're saying. So the sharing set filtering, that's the key to doing the most of external.
Exactly, especially with the customer community, because see, every business, there are bound to be customers, right? Like there is going to be some selling happening, right? And then some support you need, right? Because if a company sells product, you need to provide support as well. So this scenario is bound to happen if there are communities, and communities are going to be there because you have customers, right? So.
And then I think what often happens is that focus more on the individual. I'm thinking of, there's a super user and there's this and there's that, but actually this is the key is this flow. It's a set of data. You always have access to that flow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sharing set, you just need a contact or account lookup. And if you want different sets, sharing sets in the same object, you need different profiles.
Yeah. Exactly. And then sharing set works across your communities. So if you are 4 or different 5 communities based upon the same org, the same sharing set will extend across the communities. So it's not only be restricted to one community and data. Okay, moving on to the scenario number 3. So, all right. So this is a very another cool scenario, which says that, okay, universal insurance customers can view the name and some of the key attributes of the active insurance service providers. So what happens when you create an account on Independer, right? Just try to visualize. You create an account on Independer, and then what you do is you start searching for different insurance products there. And what Independer does, it lists all the policies or the products, insurance products, and who is providing that, right? So for example, if I search for health insurance, Silver Cruise, and some others will be there, right? And then I will click on that and I will see the policy details, what's the premium, I will buy that. It's a very similar scenario. So customers, they are coming to the community portal, they're searching, they can see most of the insurance service providers and the products. But I don't have to really create an Independer account to see that data, right? I can be an anonymous user. I go there and I can search the data. But if I have to really buy the insurance policy, Independer says, okay, do you have a login, right? Like it will be good if you create an account with us so that you can manage your data there and all. So basically customers, they can search all the data anonymously, but when they purchase a policy, they become a customer of the company. And the scenario is that if a guest user comes to the community, they should be able to see all the basic data of the insurer and the insurance policies which are being offered, just like Independer. But the moment they purchase a policy, then they will get an account. They will be onboarded to the community as a customer, and then they can see more details of their insurer. For example, then they can click on the link and see Silver Cruise detail profile page, right, which has more information about Silver Cruise, their terms and conditions, and some more details. Also, these days, insurers are also providing various offers to the customers, right? So in this use case, the insurers are also providing various offers to retain their customers. And the idea is that those offers should only be visible to their existing customers, not to their new customers. And those offers should also be visible as a separate related list under their profile page. So my question to you is that how a customer, the account is a private OWD, there are customers, how can they see the full detail of an insurer company, which is a business account in this case, and can also access the offers listed by them under their account page?
If they have an account, will they see only the details of the company they purchased from, or
yeah, if they
details from the other?
No, only the companies, yeah, from which they have purchased the data or the policy. So, sorry,
They have a role.
who?
Those customers.
They don't have, their customer community users, but you can design your solution. You can give them CCP. But how will that help in this?
Because they can have a role.
No, but so first of all, you need
Users, okay, means for like users who are not part of their external community, like
yeah.
user basically. So for them, we need to write a sharing group, okay,
Hmm.
and like share it with the guest profile.
Yeah.
Provide. So once we did that, then guest user can have access.
Yeah.
Okay, and later on, then.
But if you write a guest user sharing rule, on which object you are going to write that?
Because we need to show
account, business account. Yeah. So you will write it on account, but then the anonymous user should be able to actually view all the account data. And this requirement says that they can only access some basic attributes, not the full account, right? So guest user sharing rule will provide them read-only access to the whole account. Another thing you need to keep in mind is that what will be the criteria for the guest user sharing rule, because you cannot share all the accounts, only the insurance service. So you need to restrict it based on some type or status or different things. Yeah, but that's fine. But the point is that if you have an anonymous user and they need to see some data, not the full access, full read access to certain records, like in this case, how will you open up that access? That's the first requirement. After that, we will come to the offers.
You have to have two profiles, won't you? But isn't there like a profile aspect of the guest?
For guest user, there is only one profile.
Yeah, there's only one for him, but yeah, but once he makes himself known, okay.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. If you want to share some data to a user who doesn't have access to that data with the regular sharing mechanism of Salesforce, how will you open up that access?
So there are multiple ways. Okay, I can access.
Okay, one way. I just need one way.
So you are talking about lateral sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was your, what was that? Manual sharing we can do, or it is
with the guest user, how will you do manual sharing?
with the guest user.
Obviously, yes.
You don't know who they are. They're just websites.
I hope you guys are not thinking, oh, we came here to learn something, and now this guy is asking us question and make us do the hard work.
You're just giving them access to a public site where they can just comment. That's it. So you make it public and you have certain read-only.
What should be made public? The account OWD, you mean? We cannot, right? Apex, guys, create a lightning component with the without sharing controller. Open up expose the only required attributes and a lightning component. It's not Apex based sharing, but Apex system mode, basically, right? Create a lightning component without sharing, open up the access to the guest user. They will land on a public page. There will be a lightning component. It will show them those basic attributes and the related products. Very simple. Now, the question is, Once they have become customers, so they have bought a product and now they have become a customer of Universal Insurance and they have purchased a health insurance, let's say from Silver Cruise. So now, once they log in into the community, they should be able to see the Silver Cross account record full in detail. Now, how will you open up that access? So that was for the guest user, right? Now it's a customer community user. Okay, 30 seconds.
Guest user, they were converted into community user, community user.
Yeah.
And then private. And
We still have 5 other scenarios.
Yeah. So that's why this is the solution, guys. Okay. So what you need to do is create account contact relationship, right? ACR. Have you, most of you would have heard the name, right? So if the customers, because they are person accounts, the other account is a business account, they can be related to each other via ACR, right? That's possible. And once you do that, the first thing is you need to create first sharing set, which says user.contact.related account.id. And it will just open up the access to all those users, which are basically the person accounts, to all the related accounts. Simple. So you don't have to do any Apex sharing. Simple. Now, another thing is, I said they should also be able to see the offers. Offers are private. They are not M2D to the account. And they should also be able to see the offers, which are child records of the insurance account, because insurers are creating those offers and they are private. So there also you can use the ACR with the same relationship, user.contact.related account, offer.insurance provider, because offers has a lookup relation to the child. You should be able to share that. So ACR provides you a mechanism for the person accounts to see all the related business accounts who are related to them via ACR relationship. They also provide you a capability to access any child object of those accounts who are related to that account via lookup relationship, via this relationship.
You can also use product instead of offer, right?
No.
Why not?
No. Product is something which is for the catalog, and it's a company master data. You don't want your external user to enter products. Yeah.
And why can we not use quote? So if your external object, the offer is private, so that indicates it's a custom object. Why is it not possible to use the quote object here?
Yeah, they don't have access to code.
opportunity.
They don't have access to code. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. The license doesn't allow them to access code. Okay.
I don't know, you look at me.
Okay. So how is it so far? Is it too much or no?
I'm learning.
Learning? Okay. Good. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't scale. So with part community, you run out of license limits, especially with something like insurance, because in most countries like the Netherlands, it's mandatory. You must have health insurance. You must have liability insurance for your car when you're on the road.
there was upper limit also, right? For customer community, we can add 10 million and other licenses 2 million. But that is like
that has changed now. Now it's 50 million for customer community or 100 million. Yeah. And for others, it's 10. Yeah. Okay. Good. If this makes sense, we have 4 or 5 more scenarios.
We'll take a break at some point, maybe. 10 minutes to get some drinks and
okay.
recover for a bit.
Okay, sure. All right. So the next scenario is that, so you know the use case, you understand the business context, right? It's a story. I'm telling a story. So the next story or part of the story is that when the customer submit the support tickets via online portal, those tickets are allocated or assigned to a group of internal service reps, right? So it's like they raise the ticket, and these are internal employees of Universal Insurance, like independent internal employees. These are who are actually providing the platform, Salesforce. So they are not employees of the insurance companies, right? So they submit a case. It is routed to a group of or a pool of Universal Insurance service reps, and based upon the criteria like insurance type, region, and other parameters. It's assigned to pool. So let's assume that every region has a pool of service reps because it's a global company. So it's assigned to them. One of the service rep volunteers and picks up one of the service ticket from all the service tickets assigned to the pool. And then that service rep becomes the owner of that service ticket. However, customers should still be able to see their tickets because now the owner has changed to an internal service rep. So it's like you open up a ticket with your internal company, right? HR takes the ownership of your ticket, but you should still be able to see that because you as an employee or a customer still wants to see what is going on with your case, right? Or the ticket. So they should be still able to see that. Also, all the support ticket logged by these customers should be accessible to all the internal customer engagement managers only. So there is a group called customer engagement manager. It's like, let's say, the HR director or customer engagement manager. Only they can access those cases apart from the assigned service rep. Okay. And they should be able to reassign the tickets or change the priority. So basically, they should be able to update the tickets. Yes, question.
Are they also divided into insurance types?
No, it's a centralized group. Okay.
And they are not the service representative managers.
They are not service representative managers. It's a different set of users. So what do you, okay, you're hungry, the brain is working. Okay. Cool. No, that's good. Okay, so think about it, right? Like if you submit a case or a ticket, right? Let's say I've given you a hint, ticket will be a case. What do I mean by a pool of, sorry, queue? Good, yeah. And how will you assign the cases to the queue based upon different parameters? Case assignment rules. Simple, right? A service cloud functionality. So now they get a view called queue list view, right? And they can see, all the service reps can see the tickets, but then one of them can say, okay, assign it to me, right? Or pick. And then the owner changes from queue to the service rep. Now the question is, owner has changed to service rep. Customer is not the owner anymore. Case OWD is private. How will the customer community users retain access to their cases? Through the sharing set. Okay, good. What will be the criteria of the sharing set?
They log case, so either their contact or account is connected to the case, which is also connected to the user.
Yeah, so it's case.account.user.account. So they retain the access very well. So one problem is solved. One part. Now, another part of the problem is that those cases, because they are private, they're only owned by one service rep. Customers can see their cases via sharing set, but there is an internal set of users who should be able to see all the cases as well, and even not only see them, but can also be able to update them. So what will be the sharing mechanism or tool which you use to open up the access to those set of users?
You just give them all data.
Sorry, you failed the review board.
Set of group of internal users.
Sorry?
Create a sharing rule to.
Okay, how will you create a sharing rule?
Because those are internal users, right? And it has to be a public group or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
public group?
It's internal user, right?
Right.
So,
but public group is a different thing.
No. It's talking about sharing rules.
Sure.
We will write and we can share it with them.
What type of sharing rule?
Normal. Yeah, the normal ones we share in groups.
There is no normal sharing rule in Salesforce. There are two types I know of. Tell me the type. Criteria? Ownership and criteria?
Yeah.
Okay, which one are you recommending here? Mm-hmm.
But if they have a specific type of ticket, is it? Or is it
No,
all of them? I'm sorry, all. Then it's
Well, it could be criteria based. It depends on how the engagement managers are allocated on the system. There's people
Yeah, so
on their user profile.
user profile. No, so it's like a separate team. It's a separate team, centralized separate team of engagement managers.
Engagement manager, that's a separate team, and they're entitled to see all cases.
Yeah.
Just one above in the row there. Yeah.
No, so that's the catch here. They are not service rep managers. They are a separate team who want access to all their customer cases from an audit and compliance perspective.
It's an owner-based sharing rule with a group of users.
Owner-based, like which owner? Okay, time. All right. So first part you have already solved, right? Like assignment rule and all those things. So I will not go there. Yeah. So for the customer, that part is covered. But for engagement manager, what you can do is use a sharing group. Very simple, right? What you can do is link. So you have a sharing set created, link a sharing group to that. And in that group, add the role of customer engagement manager. Simple. And with the sharing group,
You know the solution, it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's for like,
Make that
well, go.
Same level.
You can put it also on the top.
you can put it on as a separate role on the top. Yeah.
So,
The sharing group, we have that option. But this is a sharing group.
Group.
There is specifically
It's
for
a
community.
specific type, it's not like standard.
Yeah. But the beauty of the sharing group is that
the whole session, it said master external, and basically
Of course.
yeah. No, there can be multiple solutions, but this one is the most performant and optimal solution.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
That's well, in my case study, we had this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, how Salesforce store that sharing. So you have sharing set, which is calculated on the fly. You have 10 million customers, right? And then you would like to get internal user access to those records. And when we say it's calculated on the fly, which means that the user needs to log in,
Mm-hmm.
and then you calculate that record stuff. So how you manage, for example, to get all the records for the customer, which are
Yeah.
in from time to time.
Yeah. So the simple answer to that is it's not calculated on the fly.
Okay.
It's not calculated on the fly, because if you were to calculate this on the fly for millions of cases, it will never work. So that's why there is a concept called access mapping, which is kind of a cached data where the access controls are already resolved during the creation time itself, basically.
Those also map to the share tables again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the sharing sets are not in the share tables.
Yeah, they are not in the share table. So it's a separate set of table, which is more cached kind of access mapping data. And that's why you can scale to millions. Because if you were to create sharing table entries for these kind of things and calculate on the fly, come on. Even if you bring AWS and all the S3 buckets, it's not going to help, right? So, and Salesforce runs on its own stack. Of course, now it's Hyperforce, but earlier. So yeah, so Salesforce came up with the sharing set concept because they knew that they cannot scale using the on-the-fly calculation mechanisms, right? And for this kind of sharing, you need to have an access mapping kind of sharing. So it was a good innovation, I would say, a good sharing mechanism or a structure. But yeah, they had to do it because of the scale.
So my first, I don't know, 5 slides, just a refresh, no?
Okay.
To refresh your memory.
Fine.
But that's
Fine.
I think we learned who to call.
All right, so let's look at the next scenario, guys. Most of the guys are back. Okay, cool. All right, so scenario number 5, Universal Insurance provides all the basic information related to sharing regulations to their potential customers on its website. When the customers are interested in exploring the insurance products and see the provider companies, they click on a button on the website called Insure Me. And then that button takes them to another page where they can search the insurance and the different companies which offer them based upon the country filter or other criteria. So the sharing problem here is that when they click on the Insure Me button and it navigates to another page where they can search based upon different filter criteria, they should be able to view all the active insurance companies which are available in that country or region, whatever they have selected from the drop down, and also the insurance products offered by those companies. Very simple scenario. Now you know the solution. Come on.
We should create a page and lighting component to show all those.
Customization, 0 points.
Yeah.
No customization.
You don't want it. You don't need
I mean,
it.
sorry?
You don't need it, what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you can. That's why I said every problem can be solved by multiple solutions. Which one is the most optimal solution is the point. That's a solution which will work. I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is which one is the optimal solution here. You know the solution. Come on.
Yeah, you already said that solution before the thing was to go in another slide.
Simple. You need to use guest sharing rule, right? The criteria needs to be account is insurer account, share the read-only accounts, right? Because they are guests. Simple. Let's move on to scenario number 6. So scenario 6 says the insurance company require individual customer to fill current health details in a health check form post onboarding. So basically when they become the customer, they log in into the portal, which is community. They need to fill a health check form. This form consists of different type of questions related to their health parameters. For example, if they have blood pressure, if they have any health ailments, what are their safety preferences, for example, for auto insurance, driving routines, what type of car they drive, or how often they drive, right? Those things. These are highly confidential records because it's customer health data, and only the customer can create or update them. So only customers create them or update them. However, these confidential records should also be accessible to a centralized policy planning team, which is an internal team who wants to review and identify hidden patterns for defining the policy products. So they want to review these products, run some AI on top of that, find some hidden patterns so that they can come up with better insurance products and features. So the problem here, statement here is that when the customers create these health records after onboarding, how will you open up the access to an internal centralized policy planning team? Sharing group works only when there is a sharing set. It is linked to a sharing set. There is no sharing set here. You don't need to create a sharing set. Customers are the owner of their data. It's a private health check record.
I think like when I look at you talking about this scenario, there is a lot of blah blah stuff there, to be honest. And I see like there is some key takeaways there, right? So you have records should owned by customers, right? Should be accessible only by specific type of user. So and that's it. That's the scenario. All of that stuff, it's like
it's fluff.
It's
but that's the point.
That's the point.
Because exactly.
Yeah. So
that's how you solve the CTA scenario, right?
Exactly.
You have to annotate.
What is
you will get lots of fluff, right? All these things, because see, when you have to solve a business problem, you will get a requirement from business, and business will try to write down these kind of words. Oh, they want to do this, they want to run AI patterns, but you as an architect need to know, okay, cut the crap, I want to do this.
Okay.
Simple. This is the requirement. Yeah. So
the other thing, Mohit, that comes to mind is that I've been putting on things like Omni Studio, for example, where the person is filling in forms all the time, and that forms, I mean, it's more forms-based health cloud. You're filling it in, you hold it in a specific area. It's not necessarily only a Salesforce thing. It could be held outside of Salesforce. This type of scenario.
Yeah.
An example.
Yeah, they can be, but this requirement says that they need to create it on the platform. So
cool. So let's go to
solution.
Wait.
Basically, you have a custom object under the customer account where they enter their health information. Basically, they fill the form, which could be a flow, which eventually creates these health records underneath the customer account. And it could be a lookup relationship to the customer account. So, and the OWD is going to be private because the customer owns the information. It's highly confidential data. So this scenario is just that an external customer owns certain set of records. It's private record, and you have to open up the access to internal users. There is no sharing set involved. So sharing group is out of picture, but how will you open that up?
I think that's not what we're just a group.
A standard defined group myself, internal users. So
Yeah, but these are customer community users, right? They are not part of the group. They cannot be added to a group. That is for CC plus and partner. Yeah. Okay. Solution. So this is a fairly recent feature, Spring 22. So you can create a criteria-based sharing rule on that object. And there is a new checkbox which is introduced by Salesforce, which says include records owned by users who cannot have assigned role. Basically, Salesforce says customer community users.
You love to make trick questions, yeah?
Sorry?
You love to make trick questions.
No, see, all the solutions are simple. You just need to know when to apply the solution, right? So.
share the slides, by the way, so that doesn't take picture.
Yeah.
Or not.
Okay. Moving on. Learn something new.
So, how much this where role-based?
Okay. Scenario number 7, guys. Sorry. Okay. Questions?
Yeah,
There's a question.
Yeah, so it's about,
No, maybe you have I would think that just use a role-based to and ownership rule to a role. But
Ownership based. The problem is that sharing rule doesn't earlier before Spring 22. The sharing rules, you cannot use sharing rules to share the data owned by high volume customer community users with any rules. And now Salesforce has opened up that, but you have to really, where is that? Sorry. I'm disclosing the solution. Where is that? Okay. Yeah. So basically, you need to check this checkbox, and then you can open up the access to those.
Criteria based. It's not an
Ownership based.
so it's only criteria based, and is it in the there's a settings just on this
On the sharing rule. So where you are defining the sharing rule, there is a small checkbox there which says this, but it's very powerful if you look at it, right? All right. The next one. Scenario 7, right? So Universal Insurance has recently started offering relevant insurance services to corporates as well. So now we are moving from B2C to B2B selling model. So it's like a company. For example, your company engages with Universal Insurance to get in bulk insurance for all the employees. So it's a business who can apply for a bulk insurance, right? So corporates who are primarily, but the thing is that corporates cannot directly reach out to Universal Insurance. So what corporates typically do is they engage an insurance company. Like, for example, your company reaches out to Silver Cruise and tell them that, guys, we want bulk insurance for all our employees. Can you provide that? And Silver Cross says, hey, we can provide that, but you need to submit an application via Universal Insurance, who is our digital partner, right? They provide the platform. We don't have our own platform. So basically, it's the same scenario. So these insurance companies, one of the agents of those insurance companies, submit a new corporate customer registration request by clicking a link on the website that opens a 3-step application form. So the agent will say, okay, this company, they are looking for these many types of insurances for all their employees. So one of the insurance company employees fill out the information, submit it. And a prospect record is created in Salesforce based upon that application submission. All the partner insurance companies have two types of employees, agents and manager. That's the same scenario. There is one insurance executive who needs to review all the new customer leads generated by the insurance company employees, and they should also be able to update the prospect information if required. Is the scenario clear?
No.
No? Okay.
There's a lot to it, so it's not clear.
It's not clear. Okay. The scenario simple is that there is a corporate. They reached out to insurance service provider like Silver Cross, and they said, okay, we would like to purchase bulk insurance for our employees. And Silver Cross says, okay, we will submit an application on our digital platform, which is run by Universal Insurance community portal, and we will go there and we will submit there, and then a potential record for you will be created, and then we will do some checks, and eventually we will onboard you as a customer. So initially they are onboarded as a prospect, as a lead record in Salesforce, because they are potential customers. Now the only requirement I have is when they create a lead record in Salesforce, let's say one of the company agent will create that. Now companies have different type of employees: agent, managers, executive, three types of roles. There is one executive who needs to see all the leads created by the agents in the company, and they should also be able to update them if required, right? All external users, they are, one of the employee is creating the lead, the other colleagues one of the colleague who is an executive wants to update the lead as well and wants to see all the leads. Simple? Clear or not clear? Not clear? What is not clear?
So there's a hierarchy that you're creating in there. So there's hierarchy between the different levels.
Yeah.
You've got a lead opportunity sort of process that you put in place as well, because you've got
No, opportunity is out of picture. It's just a lead. Yeah.
A lead that has to be created.
Yeah, lead is created already as an application submission, but it's created by a user, and leads OWD is private. So one external user has created the lead. So first of all, you need to think about which license they need to use. Yes. So they are partner users, and they have three roles: executive, managers, and users. So let's say agent is a user. He has created a lead. Now the executive needs to see the lead, but they also want to update the lead.
Hierarchy as well.
Solution.
But why shouldn't
Executive will already have access to, they need to update it, right? Because they will already be having access to the lead. They just need to update it, right?
Yeah.
They already have it.
the simple external or higher?
Yeah.
Simple. Role hierarchy, right? So
Private, which means that only the manager.
yeah. So agents, leads will roll up to the manager, manager to executive, executive will be able to see all the leads and should be able to update, right?
It's just a
Like
lot
normal
of
role
there in that scenario, which is like.
Yeah, but the point I want to emphasize is that quite a few sharing scenarios are solved by external role hierarchy. So you just need to define those three roles and things will be sorted. But let's look at the next scenario. Yeah.
Then you are right.
Okay, so last scenario, same scenario. Basically, the only thing from a sharing perspective which I'm changing here is that instead of an executive, there is one master insurance executive. So there are quite a few executives, not only one, right? So you have agent, you have manager, and then quite a few executives, but only one of them is tagged as master insurance executive. And that employee need to review and update all the leads generated by their fellow insurance executives, like the users who are colleagues of that insurance executive, but also their agents and managers.
Maybe some super user, some access.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you designate this user as partner super user, you open up not only the vertical role hierarchy, but also horizontal as well. That's the beauty of. Yeah, that's a good.
Key stuff that you told me like during the
But he also
preparation.
gets access to other things, be careful of him, don't you? Because the partner super user, I know that when I looked at it, he gets he gets much more than
No?
Yeah.
So if you change the object,
Yeah. So let's say if I change this to order object, then what will happen? So instead of leads, they want to see that. Will the same solution work? If the agents are created orders, and then can this same scenario work if it would have been order instead of lead? So no, it will not work because the partner super user only works for access to cases, leads, opportunity, and custom objects. Clock.
so you need to know the limitation.
Okay, so
Especially the object access, which license.
that's the important part, right? Like if you're an architect or really advising customers, you need to know those things
You need to know by heart. If you
by heart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you want to by heart.
Real life, you just Google it at the set.
Yeah.
What's the K for it?
It's not K for clock, it's C for clock, custom objects.
Yeah,
That you have to-
All the other custom objects.